name is David Bacon, and I love Denver. And if that's not obvious by my shirt, then it's obvious from the opportunity that I have with my next guest, Samuel Shimmick, owner of I Heart Denver Store. So let's get some mics here. Are they working? Mics. Samuel, is that working? Try it again.
Cool. There we go.
Perfect.
Right.
Good. So, who here is familiar with I Heart Denver? Awesome. That's a majority there. Samuel has worked in retail and visual displays for like 8 years. He's transformed the pop-up store model to help build up vacant spaces downtown. Not just downtown. Is this multiple downtowns, multiple urban centers?
We've done pop-up spaces over the course of 4.5 years around downtown, one out in Stapleton, and a little bit down to Lodo. And then I'm currently working on the next pop-up part of the business to potentially go into Littleton and a few spots around town.
And forgive me, but that wouldn't be I Heart Littleton or I Heart Stapleton, would it? Or would it?
TBD on that. So
Okay.
The challenge with brand is you spend 3.5 years now building the I Heart Denver brand. Do you really want to work on the next 3.5 on a new brand? Is it enough to just leave it alone? Or do we go other iterations? But I have a year to determine that, so we'll see.
Yeah. So how much do you really heart Denver? Sincerely, because I mean, to me, it couldn't be a better place to have this model. I think we've all seen this explosion of the Colorado flag and that logo on our hats, and just all the creative ideas that are coming around with that and shirts. And I've got a different kind of design around Denver, and how much is Denver just in your constitution, Samuel? Tell us.
It started loving Colorado, and then I grew up in the mountains and went to college in Fort Collins, then transferred to Denver, and I always wanted to be in a metro area. I thought, I'm going to be that kid, go to New York and come from the mountains, blah, blah. But I ended up in Denver on the short stint on my way to metropolitan Mecca, and I found Mecca here. And everyone at that time, after the millennium and all that stuff was, Denver's the next thing, and Denver's getting this way and that way, and everyone's moving here. The environment's the best. Startups are the best. And every year that I kept working, I kept believing that more and more, and I still do to this day. So Denver hasn't disappointed me. It's surprised me every year and every day.
Yeah. It's really important in my business to attract people. Well, Colorado does the job. Denver does the job to attract people here, but I want them to find jobs through us, and so projecting that Colorado brand is really important. So what you guys do is important to me. Do you find that like other companies, I don't know if this is in terms of if you're selling to commercial or whatnot, but I mean I'm grateful for what you do in terms of representing Denver because it helps my company literally.
Right, so what the store does is it's 100% Colorado local artists, designers, and design-focused businesses. So everything in the shop has to be from a Colorado-based business, whether it's a sole proprietor, just an artist doing whatever, or a major business like Green Guru out of Boulder, that focuses on taking bike inner tube design in backpacks to the highest level it possibly can.
Yep.
Those are the types of things we carry. So what we try and do, what I did with the name, to kind of sound like a tourist shop, which is essentially what it sounds like, is to capture, because we're downtown at 16th and Glenarm, and
great location.
60% or so of our customers are out-of-towners, visitors, or here for a convention. So we wanted to be able to export Denver's culture. So by keeping it 100%, showcasing local art and design, which is the 4th or 5th biggest economy, depending on the year, in Colorado, in that shop, we're able to do that. So people are taking Denver goods to Amsterdam and Florida and all over.
Yeah. So akin to the last discussion we had, I want to make sure that for our audience, we translate a lot of your experience as an entrepreneur and here in Denver and in Colorado, and people can take that in and translate that into elements that help them in their pursuit of their own business and whatnot. So I'm curious, with what I just heard there, you must be able to speak with a certain level of conviction about each of those artists, right? Because, am I right? I mean, if someone comes in to buy something, it's one thing if they like it, It's another thing if there's a story behind it that you can
Right.
tell and share.
I kind of live my life on this Venn diagram of quality to amazing story to just something we need to sell. So we are a retail store and we need to make money. We give away 70% of our sales to the artist. So for
Okay.
instance, in the 3.5 years we've been selling, we've done $1.6 million in sales of local goods. And 1.1 million of that went back to the artists.
Wow.
Which is crazy.
That's
so,
awesome.
So our
Can we
overhead.
just do a round of applause for that? Sincerely.
Thank you.
I mean, as a business model, I think that's exceptional.
It's been
awesome.
challenging. So going back to the Venn diagram, I want everything to be perfect, last a million years, and just be the best thing you've ever touched or seen with your eyes.
Yeah.
That's not possible in all ways and all times. Everyone's at a different point in their life, in their business, in their skill set, also in the tools they have or their knowledge base. So if it isn't the best quality, then I push them with more resources or give them opportunities to grow it. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to put it in the store. If the idea is there and the vision, we will incubate it and try and sell it and do the best we can as they grow and get more efficient and better.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm in the staffing business, and a totally different business. But oftentimes, I think I'm in the business of bringing the best out of other people. And here you have what you called a tourist shop in a way. Yet, what I also heard is that you're bringing the best out of your partners, not just your customers. So do you candidly say to them, hey, listen, I've had a couple people come back, return this item, or, this thing doesn't have a shelf life, or it doesn't have staying power? Does that bring the best out of them as partners and elevate them?
I try and mitigate that customer problem in the curation process. So I'm the yay or nay on anything in the store.
Got it.
When I talk about quality maybe being lacking in some way, is like maybe there's a better way to do it, but it's still good enough. And the idea is so great that we better just go with it. Right. Another thing is with products is, maybe it's viable for the market now, but we need some consumer response to determine how to make it better.
Sure.
So that all happens in the curation process. If a customer does bring something back, definitely, the artist gets tons of information. I went to the trouble of getting a local POS system company, Company B, who's in Battery.
Sure. Yeah.
They run our inventory and all our sales. That way I can do massive reporting to the artists. Like, right now, we're getting close to holiday again, so I'm pulling all of last year's holiday numbers per artist and saying, they're like, hey, I'm making that holiday smelling soap, from my shop this year. How many do you need? And I go, well, let's look back at November, December last year. We want to do 20, 30% growth, so let's just tack that on, and then let's hope for the best and add another 10. Hard numbers, actual retail data in order for them to succeed.
That's awesome to think about the analytics and the sort of the real-time decisions you guys can make around that. That's really cool.
That's my favorite part, actually.
Really?
Retail math, super nerd on that.
Interesting. So how often are you changing the pop-up store within your store? In other words, how often do things, I don't know if you call it a turnover within the store, but if I were to go walking down to iHeart Denver today, which is just 2 blocks from here.
6 blocks.
6 blocks.
16
sorry. I'm on my bike, so that'd be quick. How soon or different would it be? I guess we've got the holiday season coming up, but how often do you turn over the store and how it looks or how you present things?
Well, you can easily get into a hole of it's got to be different every 3 months or 4 months, or it better look so different from last year. But then you run into a couple problems. A, you're going to run yourself ragged. You're going to get exhausted. And B, you're going to have a bunch of customers coming back and being like, where is that art print I saw last year and I bought one. Now I need 10 more for my friends. So we actually try to keep pretty consistent on the offerings.
I can see that with your.
But what we do, because it's all local and people really like the store and it really portrays Denver well, is we get submissions in the realm of 5 to 10 a week from local artists, and I probably select 1 or 2 a month to add in the store. And then on the other end, artists who are in the store are making up something new every week, and they stop making something else. So while I was really worried about this situation, there was this natural attrition that happened. They don't want to make this anymore. They came up with this new one. There's a new artist. And right now, we get at least 1 new item every week. And in holidays specifically, because everyone gets so excited, we get about 100 new products. And some of those are limited, and you never see them again, and others will be there 2 years from now.
Right, right. How important is the shell of your space or any space that you create, not just the artisan's work and the actual items that are bought there, like the experience within the environment there? How much time do you spend with that? I know the stuff you love is that analytics and being able to.
Well,
Some of
I
those,
actually love anything to do with retail. Like I was a
uh-huh.
visual display artist for Urban Outfitters, and I did new store constructions and merchandising for a cell phone company. You know, I've done
Huh.
everything from, and then
Yeah.
I managed Composition, one of the most popular design stores, for almost 2 years before it closed in Belmar. So I've done
Uh-huh.
everything from local businesses to big business. So I love the whole idea of layout and design, and I'm a pretty firm believer in you have to put out the message that you believe in. So
Uh-huh.
the quality of the store, even in our heyday when we were doing temporary stores, the pop-up stores were actually either a week long or 8 months long. This store is permanent, so it's been up for 3.5 years.
Wow.
So that pop-up we had to build pretty temporary. This one I had the inclination this is going to be here a long time, so I built it a little more sturdy. But we try and actually build things from real materials, by hand or from a local designer when we can. And we don't really do temporary displays anymore.
So I hear you saying we a lot. Do you have other business partners?
I've been able to keep a staff of about 5
Mm-hmm.
for the last 3 years, and those are sales associates, store managers, and now I have an operations manager who's helping us with web sales and things like that. And then we have about 3 contractors at all times, copywriting, accounting, and bookkeeping, and things like
So
that.
how much web versus in-store sales? What's your sort of
Web is
take
so
100
brand new. We've only had the web store up for about 4 months, so
Okay.
that's a few sales a month.
Yep.
Web is hard. If anyone asks, "Oh, I'm just going to do a web store,"
Yeah.
good luck.
Right, right. It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah. Well, I mentioned earlier in our chat here how like Denver's brand is extremely important to me. It lifts my business. I would imagine that for the state or for the city or for the municipality, they must appreciate you as well. I mean, have you had?
We've had a great relationship. The first store was 1 week long, 24 artists, and we built it out of cardboard boxes and duct tape. And that sold about $5,000 worth of local art, and it was part of Create Denver Week
yeah.
in 2010.
Uh-huh.
So that was at 1600 Glenarm. The city found us the space. They helped us with construction, found us volunteers. So it was a very city.
How do they have the confidence in you guys to do that? Like,
You got to talk the talk, walk the walk, have the
Uh-huh.
resume, and have proof of performance is what
proof
I
of
do for a living.
performance. Proof
So
of
at that
performance is good.
time, I had done 4 different markets, 5 different exhibitions in the last year and a half.
Okay.
So I had, the resume to show for that.
We talked about defining moments with the guys from FinArt. Was that a big defining moment for you?
Yeah, that was
This
actually
cardboard pop-up store, which sounds awesome.
Well, actually, the one right before that, I did a pop-up market, and it was New Year's Day. There was a blizzard, and it was at a small space in Rhino, and 200 people still showed up.
Wow.
That I thought, collaboration works because
Yep.
we had 6 tables with
Yeah.
all those designers sitting there. I had my art on the walls, and I had marketed the heck out of it for over a month. So, and I shared all that marketing work with all the people who had tables at the event. So they did it too. So that collaborative atmosphere and everyone showing up, and then you always have to do something weird. So we served cereal in a blizzard.
Huh.
And that helped too, because at the time the shop was pretty new with a cereal bar here in town. So all that was a real defining moment that Denver's awesome, people are hungry for this kind of stuff, and collaborating works. So
Yeah.
that's where I went from
And the
there.
weather won't stop us.
If you
Yeah.
can do it in a snowstorm, you can do anything.
Anything, yes. Another message to take back to our staff and our team and our families. Have you ever, was there a point when you thought you want to go in a different direction, or retail is it's just in your bones?
I probably want to quit and shut everything down every 2.5 weeks, and then I know
that's a
and then I think
rapid
about
cycle.
and then yeah, oh my gosh,
It's a
I'm on a
fortnight.
crazy cycle. So every night before I go to bed, I go, if I were just to stop, what would I do? And
What would you do?
I'm this weird guy. So I actually think about everything that I learn and do. What if that were my next job? how good would I be at it. So like building the fixtures for the store. If I had to build store fixtures the rest of my life, could I do it with this design and move on from there? And I kind of do these little umbrella businesses in my head like every 10 minutes, and they're really annoying, and I wish I could stop, but I can't.
Yeah, that's a disease.
Yeah, one of my bosses once yelled at me. We were hanging vintage school maps, pull down ones.
Sure.
And it was really hard, way harder than you thought. And we were trying to hang these things. And I said, everyone loves these maps. We could just start a business hanging maps. And she's like, stop turning everything into a business. And I said, fine. But I haven't been able to stop. And so I think about how much work I put into the thing I'm doing now and how successful it's been. And even though it's hard at that moment and how much it sucks and I want to cry because I'm having a hard time, how far have I come? It's been 3.5 years. We've done 1.6 million in sales.
Yeah, it's extraordinary.
Even my dog's famous on Instagram because of that store. It's a lot to give up. So while I do think about it, I don't do it.
Yep. Well, a lot of things fall under the entrepreneur's dilemma, and that is certainly one of them. What about some questions from the audience here? Come up with a good question. Let's see. I Heart Denver.
Selling item.
What is your best-selling item is the question.
Best-selling items, probably things with the Colorado flag, hands down. I'm so glad that is public domain.
Well, let's talk about that, because the public domain of the former design of the flag, right? So I remember when that came out, it was a big deal. Let's talk about that, because you're an authority.
The flag is an old thing, like 1910, 1911 is when they redid the Colorado flag. And we got so lucky. Simple design. There are maybe 5 flags in the nation, and ours is still the simplest to a point. Maybe New Mexico might beat us. But flat colors, flat graphics, way easy to utilize silk screening or printing, anything you want. The other thing is...
Speaking of the former sea rather than, is it the current mountain? Right?
Well, you're talking logos. I'm talking flag.
Logos, flags.
Yeah.
Okay.
Logo.
Okay,
and I can talk about the logo next because that's new.
Let's go there next.
The flag.
That's my question from the audience.
The flag is the best seller because everyone recognizes it. So what they also did when they designed it, making it simple, is public domain. So that means you can use it. An artist can change the colors. An artist can make it this big or that big. They can do a lot with it, and no one's going to yell at you, and no one's going to sue you. And that is an economic driver up the wazoo for the state and the city.
Yeah, they're everywhere. Everywhere.
Right. So now the logo thing is brand new. It's called Brand Colorado, and it was designed by a committee of designers. Hickenlooper spearheaded it. They launched it. And everyone was like so-so on it. It was supposed to replace the Grown in Colorado sticker. So we have so much industrial design, artistic design, entrepreneurship. They wanted a sticker for those people. So we've got Grown in Colorado for mushrooms, potatoes, asparagus, peaches, the whole 9 yards. So this was for that. Right. That's
marijuana.
Going fine. They had 150 businesses sign up. They're using it. But they also handed the design off and gave the rights to produce it in products to another business called Colorado Gear. And they're in the store now. That's just been launched in the last 6 months. There's actually a promo on it right now. You can get it 20% off in the store right now. They've done glass water bottles, T-shirts, hats, and the whole 9 yards.
So is that the public domain aspect of the flag, though, is that unique to Colorado? Or how many states
not
really
necessarily, but the combination of the simplistic design, so easily translatable into product, and that public domain, I think, is the real clincher.
Yeah.
Most government things, as long as you're not defaming culture and defaming our government, are pretty safe to use.
Right.
But they made a point of it when they did it. It's in the charter, I believe.
Yeah. Awesome. What other questions do we have? How important is your dog to the business?
My dog is not that important to the business, but he is a pretty amazing case study in the business. So he actually has 6 products in the store are based on him.
Okay.
4 of which I make, and 2 others are inspired by other artists or made by others.
Doggy sweaters.
He's
or
got a
doggy
stuffed
hats?
animal. He has a felting kit from Fancy Tiger Crafts. You can make a model of him out of felt.
What's a felting kit?
Felting kit is a bunch of wool and a foam block and some instructions on how to make the shape, and you make a little craft model. And he's got his own box, and he's got a button and some art prints. He's adorable. And if you search the hashtag Denver the Corgi, his name's Denver.
Okay.
That helps.
Yep.
And then there was this
Authentic.
big craze for corgis in the last year. Everyone loves a corgi. So he's not that integral in the business, but he's just cute and fun. I actually kind of regret marketing him so much because now I'm walking down the street and I just want to walk my dog and get home and get him his exercise, and all I hear is, "That's Denver." Hey,
Yes.
there he is. That's
Denver.
that corgi.
You have Denver paparazzi.
Oh, it's kind of
Yes.
bad.
Denver the corgi, the Denver the corgi.
Yep.
That's awesome. What else? Right here. Kate, can we get a microphone over here?
Before you became well known, how did you have access to artists?
Well, speaking on
question.
that collaboration point, I was an up-and-coming artist. I was making my designs. They were a little weird, pretty to look at, but the concept was kind of rough. And I had a lot of friends working in all the retail businesses I worked in. Composition was really integrated in the design community, so I met a ton of people in design that way. So I wanted to do art shows, but I wanted people to show up. Like, I didn't want to be the guy hanging out in the corner at a coffee shop just wishing someone would come by. So I partnered with people, and I said, "Hey, I'm working with squirrels in this show, and you do some crazy geometric stuff. Do you want to make geometric squirrels?" And they go, "Okay." And then we both do a show, and then you got 2 people marketing for your show instead of 1. And then we would, instead of going to a gallery, we would go to retail shops or like the Cereal Shop or Fabric Lab when it was open, and we would join up with them. Then you have 3 people marketing you. And then we would get some weird catering thing like cereal or cupcakes or something, and then we had 4 people marketing for us. So that's kind of how I built that, and that's really what I attribute a lot of my success to, is getting a lot of people there, whether they know what the thing is about or not.
That's awesome. I like how you took that question. Did you get another question over here?
You touched on it a little bit, but what advice would you give to entrepreneurs with a product that they're trying to get into retail stores? What should we think about? You know, what lessons learned would you tell us?
Great question.
The best way to approach there's a couple points on this. So first of all, you want to consider not just the product, but the product packaging. How is a retailer going to display this? Is it going to be hard for them? Is it going to be easy? Do I provide hangers on it? Is it in a way where if a customer can see the product and understand the product, but they can't ruin the product? Like, a lot of people think, oh, I'm going to leave it open and just set it on a shelf, but so they can see it. But then people touch it and they wreck it. And so you really have to consider all those elements. Like, how you have to make it easy for the retailer. They want to look at it, get excited, and say, great, I could sell that tomorrow. I'm a little bit of a different case because I work with artists, so I will help them get to that point. Most retailers won't. Then the other thing is you need to let retailers know about the product, but retailers are busy, jaded, sad, depressed, super excited, a million different things, and you have no idea what they're going to be in that day. It's really important to find out how that retailer wants to be approached and do it that way. And it's going to be a little harder for you because you're going to have to go to figure out how this store wants it, and this store wants it, and that store wants it, and they're probably all going to be a little different. But the thing is, you're not going to, cause them to discount you because you've annoyed them already, and B, you're going to show that you're an organized, well-intentioned, good person to work with because you followed their plans. So easy approaches to figure those things out are read their website first, figure out if they have any submission guidelines, go into the store and politely ask. Do not turn that into a display, let me show you stuff meeting. Literally ask how and go. And those are my top advices for that.
That's awesome advice. I mean, you can take that and apply that to almost anything. So, Samuel, I'd say Denver's done a lot for you, but I would argue that you've actually done more for Denver than it's done for you. And sincerely, and it's awesome that you're here and that this kind of a discussion is what's become Denver Startup Week, is talking about this and with retail and supporting arts, and you're an awesome entrepreneur, and congrats and best of luck with everything you're doing.
Cool, thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, make sure you guys go visit their store. It's on 16th and Glenarm.
Level 2 of the Denver Pavilions.
There you have it.